Welcome back. As promised, we are going to do the front drive unit fluid change and filter change today. I already skipped the most boring part, which is taking off the undercover, or the shield, sometimes I refer to it as. I'll give you a quick inventory list here. So basically, to get the shield off, you need a 15 millimeter socket and a 10 millimeter socket. There's two 15 millimeter nuts holding it on, and there's only 6 10 millimeter bolts there, but it was actually missing one, so I'm gonna have to go to Ace Hardware or something and see if they can match it up. They're usually really good about that. So I guess 7 10 millimeters and 2 15 millimeters to get it off. And then I got a jack here with a nice rubberized plate. So it actually came with one from factory. This thing's pretty beat up, as you can see. So I bought a extra one from Amazon, and that is going to be to support the front drive unit motor. So that's got to be lowered down in order to get the fluid and filter out. So once again, we got the pump right here. We got the filter right here. And actually, I don't know where the fill plug is, so let's take a look. Oh, there it is. Apparently I'm blind, but I know you can see that right next to the filter. So there's the fill plug. We got some big orange high voltage lines. We are not going to touch those. We're going to stay well away from those. And get it in a good position where it can focus, and we will get rolling. E12 again, just like the rear. And before we lower it down, we're gonna make sure that we can get that fill plug out. All right, fill plug is out. It's draining a little bit on its own. There we go. Tuck that out of the way. Counterclockwise, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. This is all basic stuff, but just in case you've never done it before. And get a good look at that fluid. Again, pretty dark, but probably from the angle and the distance, you guys can't tell, but like I said, slightly better than what the rear was. But still, definitely needs to be changed. I don't want to break anything. I'd really love to get fully under that motor. Or should I say drive unit? Yeah, we're gonna wait until we can get fully under it. We're not gonna risk it. I'm gonna try to just get the edge. Very good. So to give me the space to get the jack in there, I'm just gonna plug up the oil filter hole right there with the rag. We're gonna move this big drain pan out of the way. I'm gonna put a much smaller drain pan in there to catch the fluid from the motor. Hopefully y'all can still see good. I'm going to catch it right on this other side, but I'm going to get it dead center enough where I don't have to worry about it slipping off or anything. But I want to create some room to be able to get the fluid out of there. Now, using a hydraulic jack to lower this drive unit down, you have to be really careful. Not to lower it too fast and put stress on the drive unit. This is an 18mm bolt on this side, and I just got a little 3/8 breaker bar with an 18mm socket removing this. Putting the drive unit up, but you don't want it falling down just yet to the point where you can't get the bolt out. So there it is. All right, now we're going to be very, very careful. And we're going to go with this E12 external torx bit again. I almost don't have enough room to actually get the torx bit in there. That's something to be aware of. The frame right there is in the way of me getting that top bolt, so I'm probably actually going to have to push the motor back up to get that top one out. So in hindsight, take out the top bolt before you lower the motor. I keep calling it a motor. I mean, I guess it kind of is, but keep calling it a motor. But anyways, you want to take out that top bolt before you lower the drive unit down, if you have a longer socket like I do, because otherwise you're going to have problems with getting it in there. So we're going to drive it right back up there. That enough? Yep. Now we got it loose. And same thing on the rear. If you remember the rear, I was very, very careful getting this this drive unit pump out. And we're going to inspect the O-rings on it because I don't have the replacement O-rings. So here's the O-ring on the drain plug. Looks great. which again is good because I don't have it. I'm just gonna very so gently angle this shaft the other way with the little pry tool, while at the same time putting pressure on the top. We don't have any uneven pressure. Ooh, there we go. We have sprung a leak, but it is the leak we wanted. All right, we'll get it out. Do a quick inspection. So once again, we got 3 gaskets on here, or 3 O-rings, I should say. Got 2 black up towards the top, and then we got a green one. And they all look just fine. Quick wipe down. Careful not to wipe anything into the pump housing. You want to make sure you're kind of wiping away or out. There is no doubt these are very well built vehicles. Absolutely no doubt about that. All right, time to get it filled up. Well, before that, we got to get it bolted back in. I just want to apologize if the audio isn't that clear. Sometimes I have my AirPods and I thought the video was, the record mode was using my AirPods as a microphone, and then just realized it is not, so I didn't have it set up right. So sorry about that. I'll try to talk a little louder and clearer. So before we put the bolts in, just made sure it was lined up, gave it quite a bit of pressure there and popped it back in. Got to get those O-rings snugged up. Hand tighten. Oh, we're a little bit off. There we go. So before we put that 18 millimeter motor mount bolt back in, we're going to make sure that we can manipulate this drive unit enough to get both of these bolts snugged up tightly. So basically you can absolutely hand tighten these almost all the way flush. And then snugging them up is going to be a pretty easy task, because you're only going to do maybe a 1/2 to 3/4 of a turn on here, much like the fluid pump. So just like in the last video, you're not going to put a ton of torque on these things. I'm not using a torque wrench. I've been doing this long enough not to screw it up, but you do not want to put a lot of torque on these. They don't require much at all. You'll feel it. I really should have got some painter's tape or something, or some wire, and put that cord out of the way, but I didn't, so here we are. So one thing I'll say with these is you have to really stabilize the socket when tightening these Torx bolts, because the socket likes to slip off really easy, and you could strip off the ends, round the edges on these really easy. So I just like to go over them a few times. If you see, I only got a couple fingers on the ratchet here. I'm stabilizing it, and I am again not putting a lot of torque on these. Once they're hand tightened, it's about 1/2 to 3/4 of a turn. And I'm just overly cautious that I got them torqued down well. So if you see me just going over them again and again, it's not that I'm trying to crank down a bunch more on them. I'm just trying to just make sure I had a really good bite on there, and I really have the torque that I want. So I'm gonna lower this down. Same thing. This is nice and snug too. So we're good to go. We are good to put this motor mount bolt back in. If you see. We're just going to make sure it's lined up over here. It actually looks like it's perfect already, but we will see if it lets me thread it in. It is. We're going to hand tighten this, and same thing, it's letting me hand tighten it all the way flush. So this one, being that it's the motor mount bolt, we're gonna put a little bit more torque on. We don't want to just kind of snug this one up. We want this one good and tight. But again, we're gonna want it good and tight, but we're gonna be very careful not to over tighten it. Like I said in my last video, if you've never done this before, get yourself a torque wrench or a digital torque adapter that'll go between the breaker bar and the socket, and it will tell you what torque you're at, and you can get the torque specs right off of the Tesla manual. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to tighten it up, not a bunch, but just enough. Go over one more time just to make sure it's got the right amount that I want on there. And it feels nice. Go for a third. And every time I'm doing this, I'm not cranking a bunch more. I'm just making sure that no matter what angle I put it at, I got the right amount of torque that I want on there. And we're gonna slowly lower this down just to be sure that everything is tightened up and in place. So I already got this wiped down. A little bit more here I could clean off. Again, we're going to be careful making sure we're not wiping anything into the drive unit. We're gonna wipe it out and away. I already got the gasket lubed up on here. We're gonna lose a little bit of fluid as I turn this and screw it on, but that's okay. Ooh, we actually didn't lose a little bit of fluid. That's nice. All right, all right. And just to mention it again, you never want to tighten an oil filter with any tools. You always want to hand tighten. So once that gasket makes contact, you're going to want to go. You know, it really just depends, but it's typically anywhere from 1/2 to 3/4 of a turn. So this is 1.06 quarts, and again, a full fill is 1.5. So we're just going to take our time, and we're going to combine. I have extra, so I think I bought 5 quarts total for the front and the rear, which is more than what I needed, but I'd rather have more than what I need than not enough. So anyways, the point is that I got about 2.5 quarts left. So we're just going to combine those. All right, since my other pump that I just told you I got from Harbor Freight decided to self-destruct, I had to get another pump from Harbor Freight. Note to self, maybe buy a better fluid pump, an electric one. I have a really nice extraction pump that I paid like $100 for, but I need to get an actual fluid transfer pump that is really nice. But we'll see how this one performs. This is like a multi-use, I think it's called, pump. It can be used for oil, gasoline, different things. But I think this is about $8 at Harbor Freight. So we'll give this a shot and see how well it works. The plus side is this one has a pickup tube hose that should go to the bottom of these containers just fine. So it'll be a lot easier to measure the 1.5 that way, if I do it that way. We'll see how well it works. Go. Just be gentle. It's like I don't want to break it. Didn't want to go back in, but I gave it some pressure. I don't know if you can see. The little clip. Didn't want to go back in for the pump wire, so I had to give it some pressure inwards and then downwards. So I kind of had to push in as I pushed down. Because for some reason, it did not want to work. So anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this back on, make sure it's all locked into place. Like I said, I have a quart in there, so the pump will not be dry when we run it, which is exactly what we're going to do. Just for 10-15 seconds. I'd say probably no more than 30 seconds is needed. And we're going to do that by navigating to the closest supercharger. All right. Now to make sure we got the right amount of fluid in there, because this is about empty, 1.06 quarts. Instead of putting, a brand new one in there, I'm going to take about half of another one, pour it in there. We might have about 1.56 quarts. Full fill is 1.5. Not a big deal if we get just a hair over in there, but I have a feeling it's going to start draining out of the fill plug hole when it's too full. Kind of like it was when we got it. So with what we lost after we pulled the fill tube out and then plugged it out, we had it draining for a few seconds. We're gonna say we're at about 1.5, since I had about 1.6, maybe 1.7 in the container. We did pump the container dry, but again, once I was pulling that tube out, it was pouring pretty good. And then before I got the fill plug in, it was draining pretty good too. So I'd say we lost about 0.1, 0.2 quart, so we should be right around that 1.5 quart threshold we were looking for. So we're just hand tightening 8mm external hex bit. We're going to hand tighten as far as we can go, and we're there. And then now we're just going to snug it up. We're going to put pressure to make sure we don't get some weird angle and strip out that fill plug. And again, very gentle. We're not putting a lot of torque on this. We don't want to mess up the housing or any of that. So I'm just pushing with a couple fingers here. If you see, I'm not taking a full hand and pushing really hard. I'm just taking a couple fingers here, just making sure it's nice and snug. And we are good to go. We are going to reassemble the shield and take it for a test drive. I didn't give you a really good angle before, but here's the other side of the drive unit. So this is the motor mount bolt, the 18mm bolt that's holding the drive unit in. Well, that's about it on this side, but just wanted to give you that for context. All right, test drive number 2. We got 108,631 miles, and both the rear and now the front drive unit fluid has been changed, and it sounds great. No abnormal sounds, no error codes, nothing like that. So we got success number 2. So thanks for watching, everybody. Please like and subscribe. More to come.